So let's recall. The people of Cray were on the brink of extinction due to the lack of resources, and the Messiah saved them by giving them magic, and Cray became prosperous once more. When the Messiah gave the world magic, the Dark Continents received the most benefits. Powerful magic users called the Demon Lords engage in war to fight for supremacy. Our story begins with Gyze. He was a young and ambitious Demon Lord, and like all the others, he wanted to rule the Dark Continents. In his search for power, he found out that while the Messiah who brought hope to Cray also created despair. Cray was never the same because its natural laws were rewritten, and in fact, the planet Cray had been distorted and a being of emptiness is approaching. This creature had the power so overwhelming that it surpasses the Messiah's own. Gyze became fascinated by it, and he decides to summon this powerful being. For Gyze, the world's end was but a small price to pay for the power he will obtain, and he began to call himself the evil god's bishop. And so begins the advent of the deity of destruction, Gyze. The Echo Force was the first to respond as Valios, then Marshal of the Fleet, sensed Gyze's awakening. He led the fight against Gyze, but they were easily stomped by his tremendous power. Upon his defeat, he realized that it is only natural for Cray, a planet born from nothingness, to return to nothingness. Gyze's nature to destroy everything and return the world to its original state was the justice that Valios upholds. So he and the Echo Force swore allegiance to Gyze, and from then on, Valios became the destruction deity's second apostle. The queen of Mega Colony Gredora was the third and final apostle to join Gyze's forces. But unlike Gyze, who desired power, and Valios, who upholds his sense of justice, Gredora only sees Gyze as a convenient presence to increase her territory. If the world is destroyed, the uninhabited land will be filled by her children. Gyze then created living calamities that could be dubbed as his own alter egos, called the Zeroth Dragons. With the army complete, the deity of destruction and his three apostles waged war on the planet, thus beginning the war of the two deities. The war began with a one-sided trampling. Any country who resisted Gyze was only destroyed, and despair spread across the world. In the Sanctuary region, a young man called Fides had a drive to protect his people, but he suffered from his own helplessness. One day, Zenon, the Sage of Time, appeared before Fides and guided him to acquire a divine sword located deep beneath the sanctuary. With sword in hand, other aspiring knights assembled before Fides, and under his leadership, they used the Holy Sword's power to protect the people. The knights eventually became known as the Royal Paladins, and they became the people's hope. At around the same time, other groups also gathered across the border. Angels were committed to treating the injured regardless of the danger that they may face. They became known as the Angel Feather Clan. The Royal Paladins and the Angel Feathers lit a fire of hope for the desperate people of the Sanctuary. The fire spread across the world, and for the first time, the planet that was pushed to the edge of extinction started to push back. The war was fought into a stalemate, but thanks to further research on how to combat Gyze and his army, as well as the Messiah's blessings, the balance was tipped into Planet Cray's favor, and Gyze's army was defeated. However, Gyze was too strong that it cannot be destroyed, so the Messiah seals Gyze and his army in different ways. First, the Echo Force was sealed in a time-space gap. Second, with the inherent connection between Planet Cray and Planet Earth, the Messiah and Fides traveled to Earth to seal the 6 Zeroth Dragons in order to keep them away from Gyze. Finally, Gyze's own body was sealed in the southern poles of Planet Cray. The Messiah had consumed a lot of its power in the sealing process that it became dormant. With this, The War of the Two Deities, or the Cataclysm, was officially over. It was now a new beginning for Planet Cray. As for Gredora and Gastile, they disappeared without a trace.